Hi, welcome back to my channel, and today I thought I'd introduce you to some lesser known sort of sideline sci-fi films that I think are quite interesting and worth your time. And we're going to kick off with X, The Man with X-Ray Eyes. This was directed by Roger Corman. Most people think of Roger Corman as a producer. He gave Francis Ford Coppola his start and Martin Scorsese, etc. But actually, he was no mean director. His Edgar Allan Poe films with Vincent Price are fantastic. And this is a terrific little science fiction film starring Ray Milland, where he's a scientist who develops X-ray vision. And it starts out, and he goes to parties and you can see through women's blouses and etc. But then he starts to see into the real nature of matter and the universe. And he starts to think he's God. And it ends with him going to this sort of religious rally with this sort of, huckster preacher. And this fantastic last line of the film where he goes, "If thine eye offend thee, pluck it out!" And of course he does, but with 1960s special effects, it's not quite, Clive Barker's Hellraiser, it slightly spoils it. But it's a really good film. Milan gives a terrific performance as usual. It's a lot of fun, and it shows just how good a director Corman was. The second film is Event Horizon. Now, today's big question is this a good film? This is the hot topic for this video, as Alan Partridge would say. I saw this in a cinema in 1997. I knew nothing about it going in. First of all, I was impressed by the cast. Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill, Kathleen Quinlan, Jason Isaacs, and Sean Pertwee. You can't have everything. And also, I was impressed by the brilliant opening title sequence. It starts with the Paramount logo, the mountain, and then you move past the Paramount logo into space. It's so cool. And then the score is this really sort of upbeat, sort of techno piece by Michael Kamen, which is a fantastic intro into the movie. Now, this movie has got a brilliant central concept. The idea of a wormhole. So the idea of a wormhole is that the ship can go into a wormhole and emerge somewhere else far off in the universe by going through a different dimension. So it's like a shortcut. You don't have to go all the way. You can go instantaneously to a part of the universe by going through another dimension, right? But this other dimension happens to be hell. And that, I think, is a genius concept. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a big Hellraiser fan, and I said they should have done this with Hellraiser, right? They should have, that the dimension of the Cenobites was in the wormhole. And he told me that they'd already done it. I've only seen the first two Hellraiser films. I haven't seen the fourth one, Bloodline, which takes it out into space in the far future. So that's me told. Event Horizon is a horror sci-fi. It has very effective moments, actually. It's directed by Paul Thomas Anderson's rather scuzzy English namesake. And but it always goes to the lowest common denominator. It could have really done something with its brilliant setup. Clive Barker would have done something quite interesting with it. But it doesn't really investigate it. It just goes for the gore and the scares. But it's quite chilling, and it's quite well acted. So check it out. Now, most of us connect sci-fi with America, right? Or with English science fiction like War of the Worlds. So I thought for the rest of this video, it might be interesting to look at sci-fi from other countries. So let's start, first of all, in Italy, with Planet of the Vampires. The director, Mario Bava, is better known as a horror director. He made Black Sunday and Black Sabbath and Blood and Black Lace. Is it? Yes, I think that's the right title. I'm not a great fan of Italian horror. I love the style and the colours, and I love the music, especially if it's by Goblin. But I'm not the greatest fan of Italian horror. And actually, this is my favourite Mario Bava film. And this movie, what a great title. But this movie, often, it's said to be one of the antecedents of Alien, because it starts with this crew on a spaceship investigating a distress call on this mysterious planet. And when they get there, they meet these kind of space vampires who contaminate them. Forget the plot. It's not very interesting. It's all about the style. God, the colours, the direction, the composition of shots, the sense of dread, purely through style, is fantastic. It really is a delight For those of us who just want to hunker down with a great sci-fi horror movie and just revel in style, this is a secret, luscious gem. Find it out. Now, let's go to the Czech Republic. In 1963, remember, before Star Trek, before 2001, as this DVD cover proudly proclaims, this is an interesting instance of communist, Eastern Bloc science fiction, which was very healthy, actually. There's some very interesting movies made in Eastern Europe and Russia. I mean, of course, there's Solaris and Stalker by Tarkovsky, which are masterpieces. But this is a little-known film, Ikarie XB-1. Cracking title, just rolls off the tongue. But it's a really interesting movie. It's about a deep space mission to find extraterrestrial life. But it's kind of more concerned with the business of actually making this journey work. And they have all sorts of issues, including issues of insanity amongst the crew. It's all directed in very sharp, metallic black and white. And it's a really intelligent sci-fi movie. It gives you all the ingredients you want in science fiction. I think there's even a robot in it. Yes, there is. There's a robot that looks a bit like Robbie the Robot. And it's excellent. And it's just refreshing to see something so different from such a different culture. Let's go to Sweden next. And a recent movie, Aniara. I didn't know this when I watched this movie. It's actually based on an epic poem. How brilliant is that? This guy called Harry Martinson wrote an epic sci-fi poem in the 1950s. And it's a kind of proto-ecological story where we've ruined the earth so much that now gangs of people are getting on huge ships to be transported to Mars. And we follow a group of people, sort of emigrants, going on this ship. And on the way to Mars, there's an accident. They're blown off course by asteroids. And they can't turn the ship round. So it's just going straight into deep space, straight into nothingness. And they realise that they've got to accept that this is their fate, So they've got to try and create a colony, a new life, a new civilization on board the ship. And eventually it goes wrong. It's actually a very bleak poem and story. The directors, who are called Pelle Kagerman and Hugo Lilja, I think they're a husband and wife team, try and make the story a bit more upbeat, actually, and modernise it, and it's quite PC. But ultimately, they get to the bleak ending that you're expecting, and the ending is extraordinary. And it's very simple. I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's a simple piece of geometry. A spaceship passing at an Earth, titles. Pure triangle, just titles, spaceship, Earth. That's it. And with the beautiful electronic music score, it really hits home. It really has power. The rest of the movie is a bit of a mess. It goes a bit all over the place, tonally speaking. But it's worth a watch as an example of modern sci-fi that's trying to do, a modern science fiction epic. And although I think it stumbles a bit, I find it quite an interesting movie. And it's worth your time. Next, let's go to Germany and Rainer Werner Fassbinder. Rainer Werner Fassbinder, who made all those sort of Douglas Sirk-inspired films about the bourgeoisie, lots of people in horrible rooms being horrible to each other. Well, Rainer Werner Fassbinder made a sci-fi film. I know, it's incredible. And what's even more incredible is it's kind of an antecedent of The Matrix. It's got a similar idea. A guy finds that he's actually part of a computer program and he's trying to get out of it into the real world. Amazing. When I saw this movie, I was absolutely blown away. I had no idea this film existed. And you know what? It's really, really good. And it's completely Fassbinder. Lots of heavy-set German men and lots of women really caked with makeup in sort of gaudy rooms. But I just think it's a fantastic movie. And and Fassbinder, takes to science fiction like a duck to water. He does it really, really well. So don't be put off by the sort of German art house, heaviness of it. It's actually a really good movie. It's worth anyone's time. Art house or sci-fi fans would enjoy it. And finally, let's go to Korea and The Host. Remember Bong Joon-ho, the Korean director who won the Best Oscar for Parasite? Well, he had a fantastic career before that movie. And he made, I think this is in 2011, he made a monster movie, like Godzilla, right? Or The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, and it's called The Host. And I still think it's his best film. And it does what every good monster movie does. It has great monster movie effects, great scenes of people panicking and the monster lolloping about on the city, and then the army take it on. And it has this blundering sort of everyman character who is the hero. And also it has a sort of, like the original Godzilla, it has a message, a sort of political message about what the authorities in Korea are up to. It's terrific. It's such a great film. It's so much fun. If you've never seen it, please do watch it. You'll love it. Okay, so that's the first of my oddball sci-fi videos. I'm going to be making a second video, which is all to do with UK films, and that's coming up very soon. Thanks very much.